Hi, welcome to my channel, Retirement After Heart Transplant. If you haven't been by before, my name is Alan, and today I want to talk a little bit about who receives a heart transplant, what brings people to that point in their life where they need a heart transplant. The overarching reason, I suppose I could say, is that that person has come to a place called end stage heart failure. Heart failure is what it sounds like. Your heart has just simply failed. Uh, People get heart failure, in their lives if they have cardiac disease prior to needing a transplant. And there are things that can be done to prolong your life to, take care of the heart failure problem. But at some point, for many people, you get to a place where it's at the end of heart failure stage, and there's nothing left that they can do for you. No medication, no surgery to take care of it. So, to talk a little about the reasons for getting to that point, cardiomyopathy is a big one. Cardiomyopathy is where your heart muscle is simply not functioning properly anymore, not strong enough to pump blood and keep you alive. A number of things can lead to cardiomyopathy. I won't cover every one of them here. One of the things that can lead to cardiomyopathy is the second reason for getting to heart failure, and that's coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease, or CAD, is simply where your blood vessels, your arteries feeding the heart muscle, have become clogged with cholesterol, that kind of thing, to the point that they can no longer deliver enough blood flow to your heart muscle to keep it functioning properly. And in my case, I had coronary artery disease, heart attack, age 37, 1992, severe heart damage, but enough to I still was able to live my life well for quite a few years after that. But eventually that led to end stage heart failure for me in 2011. And then I had the transplant in 2013. Another reason for heart transplants or for getting to end stage heart failure is heart valve disease. Heart valve disease, just like some of the other things we've already talked about, can be managed in many cases. Heart valves are replaced quite often or repaired. The valves are simply, it's just like they sound like, it's a plumbing issue. Uh, they open and close to allow blood to leave and to return to your heart. So that's another reason that you can end up in end-stage heart failure. Congenital heart defects is another one. Some people are born with heart defects, and typically doctors are aware of this when they're born. Maybe not always. I really don't know the answer to that, but typically they are. Not all heart defects, congenital heart defects, will lead to heart failure, but some will, and typically it takes quite a long time, quite a number of years before that happens. Another reason is severe arrhythmias. Your heart has a certain rhythm that it maintains, through electrical impulses that come from your body. We won't get into all the complicated parts of that today, but severe arrhythmias can end up leading to end-stage heart failure. Your heart is working too hard because of the arrhythmias. There are other things that can happen because of arrhythmias, but we're talking today about heart transplants. So while I'm on that point, let me say this: and the way I think of this, there are kind of two things that can lead to all these cardiac problems, and ultimately, of course, to heart transplants. There's a plumbing problem, which is the coronary artery disease thing I spoke of. Your arteries simply get clogged up, and they can't deliver blood anymore. That overworks your heart or starves your heart of blood and oxygen, and can cause it to go into failure. The second thing is an electrical issue. So you got a plumbing or electrical issue. Electrical issue would be the arrhythmias that I just spoke of. Various kinds of arrhythmias that can develop. They come, generally speaking, from problems with your heart triggering in the proper way, from the electrical impulses that come from your body. So you got a plumbing problem or you got an electrical problem. I had a plumbing problem. I've known people who've had electrical problems. In fact, there's a person in my family who had a severe electrical problem, an arrhythmia, and had some very, very severe cardiac issues. Doing fine now, living her life, and we pray that that will continue. Okay, so let me just touch also on the age of heart transplants. So from ages 18 to 34, approximately 11.3% of heart transplants fall into that age group. Ages 35 to 49, approximately 21.7% of people who have transplants fall in that age group. Age 50 to 64, approximately 46.7%. That's where I fell. I was 58 when I had a heart transplant in 2013. 65 plus, about 20.3% of transplants are in that age group. Might mention here that the max age you can be typically for a heart transplant is 70. That's not an absolute rule, but it's rare that anybody would get one after age 70. There are a very few people who have transplants under age 18. It's rare. There's a lot of work being done, a lot of study, a lot of testing to try to make that more possible for younger people. But currently, very rare. A couple of notable examples. In fact, the ones that are the earliest. One was in 1996, where a young lady by the name of Cheyenne Powell received a heart transplant in Miami, Florida at the age of 1 hour old, if you can believe it. I had to look that one up, had not heard about that one. Unfortunately, she only lived 9 weeks and 4 days. In 1985, Elizabeth Craze, who was at that point 2 years and 10 months old, received a transplant in California. Elizabeth celebrated 40 years after transplant in 2024. So Elizabeth is still with us as far as I know from my searching this morning. That's pretty amazing because that was very early in the time of transplantation. Don't hold me to this, but I think the first heart transplant was 84, 85, somewhere in that neighborhood, 86. Anyway, Elizabeth is still alive 40 years later. The neat thing about that is that there are so many improvements in heart transplantation, in preventing rejection, enabling people to live longer, after transplant. The fact that that was done from somebody, who was done in 1985 and is still alive is pretty amazing to me. Another thing I would mention is that there are, on occasion, multiple transplants. A person might have more than one heart transplant. Again, it's rare. Quite a few of them out there, but it's still rare in the general population of people who've had them. A couple of reasons that might happen. The first transplant fails, typically for rejection. The body rejected the heart, or perhaps some other disease, caused some issues. And in a case like that, a person might qualify for a second transplant. That's not automatic. You've always got to qualify for the transplant. And I talked earlier about all the reasons all the things that they look at to qualify you for a heart transplant. A second reason you might have a second heart transplant is because you had your first one at a very young age. And let's say you had one at 18, 19, 20, 20 years old. You live 20, 25, even 30 years, and your heart fails again. It might be that that person is qualified for a second heart transplant. It has happened. It's rare, but it's happened. And again, all of these things that I'm speaking of improve over the years. The technology improves, the medications improve. There are surgical procedures that improve. So over time, everything to do with heart transplantation is improving. And I might mention, it's not just heart transplantation. There are other organs that are transplanted, and there's work to improve all of those things: lungs, kidneys, liver. These are other transplants. So various things are happening to improve all of this. At any rate, as I've said in most videos that I put out so far, my desire is to keep the videos short and succinct. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. who receives a heart transplant. I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, I appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Please leave any comments or questions in the comment section below. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time today. Until next time,